Today, a new development in the Middle East is drawing attention from military analysts, diplomats, and defense planners around the world. Turkey has unveiled a new heavy bomb developed by its domestic defense industry, a weapon many regional observers are already calling one of the most destructive conventional munitions in Turkey's arsenal. Officially, Ankara has not named any target. No country was mentioned. No threat was declared. No military operation was announced. But in geopolitics, timing often speaks louder than words. And the timing of this announcement is exactly why so many people are paying close attention. Because Turkey revealed this weapon at a moment when tensions across the Middle East remain extremely high. Israel is still facing multiple regional security threats. Iran continues to project influence through allied networks. The United States remains deeply involved in regional deterrence. Lebanon and Syria remain unstable. The Eastern Mediterranean is increasingly militarized. And now, into that already tense environment, Turkey has chosen to showcase a new strategic weapon. So the real question is not simply what Turkey revealed. The real question is why now? And what message was Ankara trying to send? Tonight, we break down the strategic meaning behind Turkey's most destructive bomb, why Israel is watching carefully, and why this may be about much more than military technology. To understand the significance of this moment, we need to understand how rapidly Turkey's defense sector has changed. Over the past decade, Turkey has transformed from a major importer of foreign weapons into an increasingly self-sufficient military producer. The country has invested heavily in drones, missiles, armored vehicles, naval platforms, radar systems, electronic warfare, and next-generation aircraft programs. The Bayraktar drone became globally recognized. Turkish naval shipbuilding expanded. Domestic missile programs accelerated. And Ankara repeatedly made it clear that it no longer wanted to depend entirely on Western suppliers. This new bomb appears to be part of that larger strategy. According to early reports, the weapon is designed for air delivery against hardened targets. That means underground bunkers, fortified command centers, weapons depots, critical infrastructure, protected military facilities. This is not simply a battlefield support weapon. This is a strategic strike tool. And when a country unveils a weapon designed to destroy protected targets, every regional rival immediately asks the same question. Who is it meant for? Now, to be clear, Turkey has not declared that this bomb is aimed at Israel. There has been no official statement making that claim. But many headlines and analysts quickly linked the reveal to Ankara's increasingly tense relationship with Israel. And that connection did not appear out of nowhere. Turkey and Israel once maintained periods of cooperation. Military ties existed. Trade continued. Strategic communication remained open. But over time, relations became more volatile. Political disputes intensified. Sharp rhetoric increased. Disagreements over Gaza deepened tensions. Regional competition expanded. And public opinion in both countries shifted. That means even neutral military developments are now viewed through a political lens. So when Turkey unveils a major bomb during a period of regional instability, observers naturally ask whether this is also a signal to Israel. But Israel may not be the only audience. In fact, Turkey could be speaking to 4 different audiences at once. The first audience is domestic. Inside Turkey, defense achievements are politically powerful. They demonstrate national independence. Technological progress, military strength, industrial growth, and strategic prestige. For any government, unveiling a major weapon system reinforces the message that the country is becoming stronger and more self-reliant. The second audience is regional rivals. Turkey wants neighbors to understand that it can produce advanced strike weapons without relying on outside approval. That matters in disputes involving Syria, Libya, maritime boundaries, energy routes, and wider Middle Eastern influence. The third audience is NATO. Turkey remains a member of the alliance, but it often pursues an independent path. By developing indigenous military systems, Ankara reminds allies that it is not simply a follower. It is a state with its own strategic agenda. And the fourth audience may indeed be Israel. Even without naming Israel directly, timing can function as language. Sometimes governments do not need to mention names. They simply reveal capabilities at politically sensitive moments. And everyone understands the message. Now let's examine why this type of bomb matters militarily. Modern warfare increasingly relies on hardened infrastructure. Underground facilities. Reinforced storage bunkers. Protected command centers. Deep tunnels. Layered defense positions. Many states in the Middle East have invested heavily in such infrastructure because they expect missile attacks and airstrikes during any future conflict. That means destroying these targets requires more than ordinary explosives. It requires penetration, mass, precision, and delivery capability. If Turkey has successfully developed a bomb that can damage heavily protected sites, then it has entered a more advanced tier of strike capability. That changes military calculations. Because deterrence is not only about numbers. It is about whether your opponent believes their most protected assets are truly safe. If they no longer believe that, their strategy changes. Israel understands this logic better than most countries. For years, Israel has focused heavily on air superiority, intelligence dominance, missile defense, and rapid strike options. But it also studies every new regional capability carefully. Especially weapons that target hardened infrastructure. Especially weapons carried by aircraft. Especially systems introduced during political tension. That does not automatically mean crisis. But it does mean attention. Now let's talk about another important factor, symbolism. Sometimes a weapon is introduced not to be used, but to be seen. That may sound strange, but it is common in international politics. Military parades. Missile tests. Naval deployments. Strategic flyovers. Weapons exhibitions. All are forms of communication. They say, "We are stronger than before. We can impose costs. We cannot be ignored." Turkey understands this language very well. And this bomb may be as much about messaging as about combat use. But there is a wider regional issue here. The Middle East is already entering a renewed arms competition. Israel continues investing in missile defense and strike systems. Iran expands missile and drone programs. Saudi Arabia modernizes its forces. Egypt acquires new aircraft and naval assets. The Gulf states invest in air defense. Now Turkey adds another layer of strategic capability. That means the region becomes more heavily armed, more technologically complex, and potentially more dangerous. Because when multiple powers seek deterrence at the same time, misunderstandings become more likely. And misunderstandings can escalate quickly. Now consider Turkey's broader strategic posture. Ankara wants influence in multiple theaters simultaneously. Syria, the Eastern Mediterranean, the Black Sea, the Caucasus, North Africa, energy corridors, and the broader Islamic world. To sustain that ambition, Turkey needs military credibility. Not just speeches. Not just diplomacy. Real capabilities. Domestic weapons production supports that goal. Every new system reduces dependence on foreign approval. Every new system increases export potential. Every new system builds leverage. And this bomb fits that pattern. Now, some analysts believe this reveal is also tied to future exports. Defense industries do not only build for national use. They also build for markets. Countries looking for alternatives to Western or Russian suppliers may be interested in Turkish systems. If this bomb becomes exportable, Ankara gains money, influence, and strategic partnerships. So even a weapons unveiling can carry economic meaning. Now let's return to the central headline claim. Was this bomb aimed at Israel? Strictly speaking, there is no official evidence of that. But geopolitically, the phrase reflects perception more than doctrine. If Israel is one of the main states likely to notice, calculate, and respond mentally to the reveal, then politically it becomes part of the story. Sometimes weapons are aimed not physically, but psychologically. They force planners to rethink scenarios. They raise questions. They consume attention. And that alone creates strategic effect. Now let's discuss what happens next. 3 possible scenarios stand out. Scenario 1, symbolic moment. The reveal generates headlines, but little changes operationally. No crisis follows. No military deployment occurs. The story fades. Scenario 2, capability expansion. Turkey conducts tests, integrates the bomb into aircraft platforms, and publicly demonstrates readiness. That would increase strategic significance. Scenario 3, regional signaling cycle. Other countries respond through their own announcements, exercises, or procurements. That would deepen the arms competition. At the moment, all 3 remain possible. And this is why global observers are watching carefully. Because military power is not static. It evolves. And each new system forces neighbors to adapt. Now let's talk about Israel's likely response. Israel rarely reacts dramatically to every announcement. Instead, it studies. It calculates. It updates scenarios quietly. It invests in countermeasures. It strengthens intelligence collection. That may be exactly what is happening now. The United States will also be paying attention. Washington values regional balance. Any rapid military innovation by allies or competitors matters to Pentagon planners. Especially when it affects NATO dynamics, Eastern Mediterranean security, or Middle East deterrence. So while this may look like a Turkish domestic story, it is much bigger than that. It touches alliance politics, regional rivalry, defense markets, strategic messaging, and future crisis planning. That is why one bomb reveal can become international news. Because in today's world, weapons are never just metal. They are statements. They are leverage. They are signals. And sometimes they are warnings delivered without firing a single shot. So what did Turkey really unveil today? Yes, it unveiled a bomb. But more importantly, it unveiled intent. Intent to be stronger. Intent to be independent. Intent to shape the region rather than observe it. Intent to compete with established powers. An intent to be taken seriously. Whether rivals welcome that or fear it is another matter entirely. One thing is already clear. Turkey no longer wants to stand on the sidelines of Middle Eastern power politics. It wants a seat at the center of the table. And this new destructive bomb may be one more tool to secure that seat. The coming weeks will reveal whether this was only a headline or the beginning of a larger strategic shift. Because in the Middle East, military announcements rarely happen in isolation. They happen for reasons. And those reasons often become visible only later. Stay tuned. Because today's weapons reveal could become tomorrow's geopolitical crisis.